Hello everybody and welcome back to the Wrestling Group. I'm your host as always, Ryan, and today we are going to be doing another one of our top 5 videos. We are doing top 5 Mick Foley matches. One of the greatest ever to do it in a wrestling ring. He is iconic. He's called the Hardcore Legend for a reason, and we are going to have a look at Mick's best matches of his career. So we'll start as always at number 5 and work our way down to number 1. One of my all-time favourite wrestlers, one of the main reasons that I started watching WWF or WE, whichever way you like it, and I've actually picked off the wall of my wall of fame, which still needs, I've got loads of photos that still need to go up on that, but I thought I'd pick it off because normally I just point to it but you can't really see. I have a photograph from when we met Mick a few years back. Absolutely one of the nicest guys I've ever met. He's just such a lovely guy. We were stood in the queue waiting to see Mick, and as soon as he's seen us at the near the front, I think we were about 4th or 5th in line, and straight away he picked us out and went, "This little guy," meaning obviously my son, as he's in a wheelchair, he's like, "Bring him in to me first." So we got him first, we had a nice chat with him, took a photograph. Obviously he's in his iconic Cactus Jack gear with his Mr. Socko, and it was just a really good fun experience. And like I say, I can't stress enough how he is one of my all-time favourite wrestlers, whether he be Mankind, Dude Love, Mick Foley, Cactus Jack, it doesn't matter. He is absolutely, for me, he is the epitome of wrestling. He's definitely a top 10 wrestler in history, has to be. He's one of the guys that when you think of, like with Mick, he's made so many stars, or he's helped make so many stars, or there's people that have been at the top and he's then pushed them to the next level. He's just an absolute icon in the world of wrestling, and it's only fit that I do a top 5 Mick Foley matches. So without further ado, we are going to start in at number 5. So number 5 is versus Edge at WrestleMania 22. And this was a match of the night on this particular WrestleMania card. Edge came to the ring with a baseball bat. Foley, however, seemed unarmed, which is unlike Mick, especially if it's a no-holds-barred or hardcore match, if you like, until Edge hit a spear on Mick and a barbed wire wrapped belt was revealed. Edge's arm dripped with blood. Remember the days when WWE had blood? I mean, he started doing it again recently, but for a long time we didn't see it. These two showed great chemistry together in between all of the violence. Before long, both men were busted open and blood-soaked, with weapons aplenty being used. The likes that are linked to Foley's legendary career, that being obviously the barbed wire baseball bat, thumbtacks, chairs, etc. Lita, at the time, was Edge's girlfriend and also manager. She even got in on the action and got a barbed wire Mr. Socko for her troubles. As if Mr. Socko isn't bad enough, a dirty old sock going in your mouth, imagine it with barbed wire going in your mouth too. In the dying moments of the match, this is what everyone remembers this match for. It has been shown everywhere, time and again. There's pictures of it galore. Lita sets fire to a table outside of the ring. Mick Foley is stood on the ropes, hanging sort of on the ropes on the outside, so like the ring apron, if you like. Edge inside the ring, and fans were shocked as Edge charged full pelt at Mick Foley, hitting him with a spear through the ropes, and both men going crashing through the table ablaze. You see Mick had some flames on him. Edge was burned to a crisp. You could see the pain in his face because, I mean, you got to remember he's got long hair and everything. But as the spear goes, his face, his head's going first. That's the first part of his body that is connecting with the flames, with the fire. And it's just where it always makes me laugh when people turn around and say, wrestling's fake. Yes, the matches are predetermined. We have a predetermined winner before the match takes place, but I don't think Edge and Mick Foley would have practiced a safe way to do a flaming table spot. I think that just happens on the night, don't you? And you could clearly tell by Edge's faces he was burnt. Mick's done it before. He was still burnt and probably in a lot of pain too, but he'd done it before. And like I say, it was it's now an absolute iconic moment, an iconic spot. It is replayed to death. It is basically what this match is remembered for, and the fact that they've done it perfect as well. Edge then manages to gain the pinfall over the Hardcore Legend, but Mick Foley finally gets that WrestleMania moment that fans will never forget. Obviously, he faced Randy Orton at WrestleMania 20. It was Evolution versus Rock and Sock Connection. I think that was his last Mania match before this one, which obviously he lost, which he wanted his Mania moment then. He's obviously been in other Mania matches previous, but that was WrestleMania 20 was the one that everyone expected, especially tag team with The Rock, that he'd get that big WrestleMania moment, but he didn't. So he come back 2 years later and finally gets that big WrestleMania match. He gets the match of the night, obviously, spot moment of the night, year, whatever. And it is one of the top things that people associate with Mick Foley. So that is our number 5, and it was versus Edge at WrestleMania 22. In at number 4 is versus The Undertaker in the Hell in a Cell match at King of the Ring 1998. Now, this is one of the first matches that fans do think about when they hear the words Hell in a Cell. This match, because of certain spots, has become absolutely iconic. The match itself is legend status. At the start of this match, it's a slugfest as both guys feel each other out, trying to gain an advantage. It's not long though until they're both on top of the cell and Mankind is flung from the cell, so from the roof of the cell and through the Spanish announce table. A shocking and unexpected moment that have fans worried for the safety of Foley, as WWE officials checked on him for around 5 minutes. It did seem that the match would then be called off. It'd be deemed as Mick Foley, or Mankind at the time, was not able to return. He was getting loaded onto a stretcher. Mankind was not done yet though. He rolls off the stretcher and then climbs back up on top of the roof to confront Taker. But before long, he was once again leaving fans stunned and worried for him and his life as The Undertaker chokeslams him through the Hell in a Cell. He hits a devastating chokeslam. They go, the roof of the cell goes in. Mankind falls down, and unfortunately, on the floor when he gets, or on the roof of the cell at the time he's chokeslammed, was a chair. So as he crashes to the mat below, a steel chair smashes him in the face as well, doing quite a lot of visible damage in the meantime. So Undertaker then decides, after standing atop and admiring his evil work, shall we say, he then manages to drop down inside the ring, and we get a very short and mini comeback from Mankind. Somehow he's still alive, let alone continuing in the match, before Taker hits a devastating tombstone power driver and picks up the victory. Now, obviously, Hell in a Cell matches over the years, some of them have been brutal and barbaric, but like I say, when you think of the words Hell in a Cell, most people, especially if you were brought up around this time in the 90s, will think of this one. And obviously, it set the tone for other Hell in a Cells. We've seen Shane McMahon jump off a cell. We've seen all sorts of things happen in a Hell in a Cell that if it wasn't for Mick, then this would, these things wouldn't have happened, to be honest with you. If it wasn't for like Mick Foley and then later Triple H, I think that, and even the Undertaker's synonymous with the Hell in a Cell as well. They're the three top names when you Hell in a Cell is Mick Foley, Triple H, and the Undertaker. And I feel like if it wasn't for these three icons, the Hell in a Cell match wouldn't have lasted as long as it did, or does, still does to this day. In at number 3, now, normally I'll say, I struggled to pick, my top 2. I went back and forth between 2 different ones and I couldn't decide. But this was so hard because I was struggling to pick my top 3. I knew that Edge was going to be number 5. I knew that Taker was going to be number 4. And then for ages, I've actually sat on this Mick Foley icon, the image that I created for about 3-4 weeks now. And the main reason being because I couldn't decide in what order that I wanted to put these in. And I am going for number 3, Triple H. So Mick Foley versus Triple H, Hell in a Cell match as well, for the WWE Championship at No Way Out 2000. Mick Foley's greatest opponent in WWE and quite possibly his entire career is Triple H. This was Triple H's first ever time in a Hell in a Cell match, which is actually quite mad to think about. Like I say, he's one of the 3 guys that are iconic or synonymous with the Hell in a Cell, and this was his first go at the match type. The 2 brawled at the start with Cactus Jack, obviously Mick Foley being in his Cactus Jack attire at the time, taking the early advantage and smashing the game repeatedly with a steel chair. Both men take to the outside as they use the cage to try and gain control. So obviously in between the ring and the cage, that's what I mean by the outside, the walkway. So they try to use the cage itself to gain control, and it leads to Triple H being busted open. Triple H is propped against the cell wall when Jack launches steel steps at him, but Hunter manages to get out of the way as the steps crash into the steel cage wall and the wall comes down, and Cactus Jack is free from the cage and once again ready to climb to the top, as he does. But the game is actually first onto the Hell in a Cell roof, and Mick Foley decides to throw a barbed wire 2x4 up there so he can then climb up and have a weapon, which is strange because he's just throwing a weapon basically to the feet of Triple H. So as Foley then climbs up and gets to, obviously he's on the edge of the cell trying to pull himself up, Triple H then nails him with the barbed wire 2x4 and stamps on his hands, which then makes Foley, or Cactus Jack, lose his grip and comes once again crashing down through a announce table. As in the previous match, it had fans thinking, well, we know he's done it before, but it was a nasty spot. I remember the commentator going, oh my god, he might be broken in half, as he obviously crashed through it. So it's again the whole situation, well, is the match going to get called off? Is it going to continue? We know we've seen him do it before, but surely at this point, yes, it's 2 years on, but surely at this point it is over. But no, in typical Mick Foley fashion, there is no stopping him. He climbs again, he gets up, he climbs to the top of the roof of the Hell in a Cell, and they start to brawl on top before he receives a backdrop and comes once again crashing through the roof of the cell, and near enough, the actual ring, starts to give way underneath him. He's sort of like sucked into the actual ring mat itself because of the impact that it was caused. A pedigree later, and once again, Mick Foley loses in a Hell in a Cell match, and Triple H retains his WWE Championship, or WF as it was at the time. So there you have it, that is number 3. So we'll look now to number 2. And this was definitely hard picking between 1 and 2, because number 2 for me, personally, is one of my absolute favourite matches of all time. Now, it's hard because when you have like a certain tie and a certain enjoyment from a match, it's hard to then not always put them as number 1, and maybe I have done previously, but you know, I found it really hard as I looked between 1 and 2, and I've decided that even though it is one of my all-time favourite matches, and I mean all-time favourite matches, I have watched this match to death. It really is one of the best. The storyline build up to it was phenomenal, fantastic. It was done so well. And it was hard not to put it as number 1, but I do feel like the match itself for number 1 is slightly better. But then again, who am I? So, as always, play along with me. Let me know if you think that I've maybe got them the wrong way round, and obviously let me know your top 5 Mick Foley matches in history. You know, I was looking at so many of his matches, and I didn't just watch WWE matches before people think that's all I did. You know, there's not really many great matches from his TNA run, so I didn't really watch too many of them. You know, I watched a few of his WCW days, and I even watched like some really old matches of like Mick Foley versus Terry Funk, the exploding barbed wire death match as well. But you know, in terms of his in-ring work and the actual matches themselves, I think he really truly done his best work in the WWE. So in at number 2, I've gone for versus Randy Orton, a Backlash 2004 in a hardcore match, Evolution banned from ringside for the Intercontinental Championship. Now you have to excuse me a sec, I've gone really dry mouth. Maybe one day Monster might sponsor me. This, like I say, this is one of my absolute favourite matches of all time, and was the start of me becoming a massive Randy Orton fan. I was already a massive Foley fan, by the way, before anyone jumps on that. I was starting to really get behind Randy Orton, and this is the main reason why that started. His legend versus legend killer. This is a classic storyline of the new young comer versus the old timer legend, sort of, if you like. And it's mad to think that this match, because it was in 2004, is nearly 20 years old. Like, I remember going with my friends, with my mates, Andy Lewis being one of them. It's also an admin on the wrestling group, Facebook group, by the way, if you haven't, and you only knows through the YouTube channel, be sure to have a look at the group on Facebook too. And we went over to, whether it was Liverpool or Birkenhead, and we went to HMV and actually purchased the Backlash 2004 DVD for, I want to say, $14.99. Anyway, that was a little offside. So like I say, 20 years old. So what am I now? 32. So I'd have been 12. Is that right? I was 12 when this came out. Jesus. Excuse me. Orton came out first, and Mick came out with his trademark barbed wire wrapped baseball bat, swinging at Orton. These two bitter rivals told an epic story both in the build-up, as I said before, and during this match, as they waged a bloody and brutal war against one another. Orton was the first to bleed after Foley attacked him with the bat. You know, drove the barbed wire baseball bat, the wire, into his head, and then got him on the ropes and decided to rub it up and down as we seen the blood starting to stream. The young Randy Orton's face. So this is obviously before he was world champ. And it's mad to think that actually, like, he was Intercontinental Champion, and obviously he was doing this, and this made him a star. And this was the beginning of 2004, and by mid-2004, he was, in fact, a World Heavyweight Champion. But anyway, again, I keep going off on a tangent, and I'm sorry. We see Foley take a power slam into a barbed wire board, watching as the hardcore icon struggled to get out of it with his skin and hair caught up in the barbed wire. Randy Orton went for an RKO, but it was blocked, and he went back first into thumbtacks, and he sold it like a champ. And as we found out from Mick Foley during obviously one of his many fantastic Foley's pod episodes where he talks about this, and he says, this is the first time Randy Orton had ever been into thumbtacks, so obviously his reaction, his facial expressions, like I said, he sold it like a champ, was because it was real and it hurt. Like, he was dropped on it for the first ever time, and he was like, ah! And he even says at the point where Foley launches him off the stage, and then Mick Foley follows after with the diving elbow drop, and they're there, and I think it's Mike Yoda, maybe, the referee at the time, I can't remember now, and he's checking on them to make sure they're okay, and Randy Orton saying to the referees, going, I think the thumbtacks were a bad idea, because, like, even at this point, like, I think maybe even by the end of the match, I'm sure, if I remember rightly, by the end of the match, Ric Flair is still picking thumbtacks out of him because they got wedged in there good and proper. Like I say, he is obviously thrown off the stage, and Foley jumps up with an elbow drop as well. At the end of the match, Mick Foley gets the barbed wire baseball bat, he gets gasoline, he pours the gasoline on it, he gets a lighter, and he gets ready to set fire to the baseball bat to obviously use on the young Randall. And then we have Eric Bischoff appear as Raw General Manager, he was at the time. And he turned around and said to Mick Foley, there's no way you're going to light that on fire. If you light that on fire, then the fire marshals will shut us down. Fans will all go home unhappy. We'll never be able to find out the winner of this match, let alone the rest of the pay-per-view. So he stops, the fans boo. Mick Foley tosses down the bat. Disappointed, turns around, eats an RKO. Eric Bischoff gained that much of a distraction for Mick Foley. He'd forgotten about Randy. Randy comes to his senses as he turns around, hits an RKO onto the barbed wire baseball bat, with Mick taking it to the face and busting him open as well. And Randy Orton gets the pin over the hardcore icon, retaining his Intercontinental Championship in an absolute war. And as I've said probably too many times in this little review of the match, one of my all-time favourite matches. So what could be better than that? What could be better than one of my all-time favourite matches? Well, it's another all-time favourite match of mine, funny enough. Before that, we'll do a quick recap of our top 5. So in at number 5, it's versus Edge at WrestleMania 22. In at number 4, it's versus The Undertaker in a Hell in a Cell match, King of the Ring 1998. In at number 3, it's versus Triple H in a Hell in a Cell match again for the WWF Championship at No Way Out 2000. In at number 2 is versus Randy Orton in a hardcore match for the Intercontinental Championship at Backlash 2004. So what could be the greatest match of Mick Foley's career? Well, it is, like I say, versus his best ever opponent, Triple H, in a street fight match at the Royal Rumble 2000 for the WWF Championship. The street fights nowadays in WWE are nothing compared to what this classic match was from obviously the days of the Attitude Era. This match was brutal, with weapons aplenty used, including trash cans, steel chairs, barbed wire, thumbtacks, barbed wire 2x4s, steel stairs, even a ring bell at one point. And this match propelled Triple H into a main event star. He was already the champion, he was already seen as being a top guy, but this just took him to that next level to make the game mean something, to set that high standard, and this is the match that put him right up there. The chair shots in this match were loud and mainly unprotected. Obviously back in the day they weren't as protected. Now knowing obviously what we do, they are a lot more protected, which, to be honest, I don't never think takes anything away from a chair shot, because it's still brutal whether they get the hand up or not. It still looks brutal. It's still going to hurt. It's going to hurt your hand a lot. Your hand's going to go into your head as well anyway. But it's protecting the wrestlers, so we understand why it's done. Both announce tables in this one were destroyed at one point, and the fight was even taken into the crowd as well. Hunter was busted open by the 2x4 wrapped in barbed wire after Foley smashed it off his head. Triple H managed to handcuff Cactus Jack at one point and laid waste to him with a chair, and it looked to be said and done until The Rock made the save, Foley's old tag team partner. He appeared, nailing Hunter in the head with a chair, allowing Jack's hands to be uncuffed. Cactus Jack then poured thumbtacks over the ring, as sure he does, but it was him that ended up as a human pincushion once again, as the game Triple H hit a pedigree on the hardcore icon, driving his face into these tacks and gaining him the victory and retaining his WWF Championship. Now, I find it funny in this, as I've done quite a few of these top five rankings videos, if you like, and if this is the first time viewing them, check out my playlist. There is a load of videos in there. I have top fives, I've got a top 10 playlist as well. There's a lot for you to go through. Check out my different playlists and go through. Some of your favourite wrestlers may have already been done. As always, feel free to hit me with some suggestions for others that I can do in the future. But I find it funny that this is the first ever top 5 video rankings that I have done where the person it's based on actually loses all 5 of the matches. Mick Foley, like I said before, was an absolute star maker, and this list clearly shows that. It took Edge to the next level and gave him one of the, if not his best moments in wrestling, let alone WrestleMania. Look at it built the Hell in a Cell. He built the Hell in a Cell icon of the Hell in a Cell match. I couldn't get my words out, like say, he's synonymous with it. Most people think of the match against The Undertaker. He built Randy Orton up to be a star in 2004, that much so that they then put the world title on him a few months later. And like say, Triple H was already a world champion, but he took Triple H to the next level and made him a sure main event star and believable force within WWE. So there you have it. There are my top 5 Mick Foley matches of his career, and as always, feel free to let me know. Drop your top 5 below. Let me know if you feel like I've missed any out. Let me know if you think it's the same but in the wrong order. Let me know. I want to know what you think are Mick Foley's top 5 matches, and I feel like everyone has top 5 Mick Foley matches. I don't know of a single wrestler or wrestling fan that doesn't like Mick Foley, and if you do, to hell with it. It's simple as that. He is phenomenal. So as always, thank you for watching. Don't forget to leave me a like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. I know there's a lot of you that still haven't yet subscribed, so please hit that subscribe button, and let's get this podcast, this channel, shall we say, bigger than ever in 2024. That is the goal. We raised the bar and we took it to heights that we didn't actually think would happen last year, when I kickstarted this YouTube channel once again, and let's do it again. Let's push it to the next level, and let's just keep going up together. The wrestling group, let's get us known. So share this with friends and family that you know are wrestling fans, and as always, stay tuned for more wrestling related content coming your way very, very soon. Thanks.